what they are, I can't really answer that. But if we're talking about the 10% cut that his executives took, certainly that wasn't enough. The mayor ran on a platform of being a businessman, but I don't hear enough talk about how we can go about generating revenue. So one of the things I want to see done is the casino contract reopened. I think that 30-year contract is a disaster. We need to get them back to the table. They need to put some more money back in the pot to help us through this crisis. The other thing I talk about on the campaign trail is the amount of land mass that we have. We can market that land to small manufacturing. That's another way of creating revenue. Also, it's been said that Detroit is a tourist attraction. I didn't know that. I learned something. Well, we need to take advantage of the fact that we're a tourist attraction and take advantage of the fact that we're on the international waterway and see if we can get commerce coming into our waterway. And lastly, and it's an unpopular thing, but one of the things that I would truly like to see done is the airport runway expanded. If we can expand that runway, certainly we can create jobs, create revenue. It'd be a boon to the east side of Detroit and the entire metropolitan area. I know that's an unpopular thing, and right now the airport is an asset. It does make money, but there's a potential there for it to make a lot more money than what it is making.
Thank you very much. Once again, Ken Cockrell, Jr. I do want to come back to one point that was made earlier by Mr. Brown, and I agree in principle with everything that he said, but one point he made about holding council accountable for tracking and responding and reacting to the budget. Yes, that's all absolutely true, but here's a key point. Council can only respond and react to the numbers and the budget information that are given to it by the mayor, and the mayor must be forthcoming and honest and open and transparent in giving us those numbers. And the fact of the matter is, in recent history in this city, that has not been the case. When I became mayor of the city of Detroit, one of the things that I found, frankly, is that Mayor Kilpatrick kept a lot of information from council and the public at large about the true state of the city's finances. So that's a key point. If we're going to respond and react to a budget, we need to be able to respond to react to a budget that we know is real and not just something that somebody cooked up because they don't want people to freak out once they find out how bad things really are. So that is a key and critical point. As it relates to the overall question of whether or not Bing's cuts go far enough or maybe go a little bit too far, I will say this. I do agree with what Mr. Bennett said. He has not announced a comprehensive budget deficit elimination plan. He's kind of rolled out a couple things piecemeal, some of which are actually holdovers and proposals that I was working on as mayor, but we haven't really seen the full picture yet, so it's tough to comment in detail. Just some general observations, though. First and foremost, I will say I think his administration is top-heavy. Councilmember Watson referred earlier to people that are making six figures. There's a lot of them in there that don't need to be as many. I think we also need to look at departmental consolidation. Governor Granholm at the beginning of this year announced that she wanted to reduce state government to 5 departments. I think we need to be looking at doing the same thing, maybe not that few, but a smaller number. We also need to look at producing efficiencies as it relates, for example, to the bus system and the proposed cuts in buses. One thing that we need to look at is maybe smaller, more fuel-efficient buses on some of these routes that are less traveled as a way to maintain bus service. Once again, I'm Ken Cockrell, Jr. I have to leave at this time, actually, not because of another forum, but because I have a family commitment I have to get to. But thank you very much for your attention, and thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you very much, President Cockrell.
Wow, Lee, it seemed like it was 30 minutes since the last time I touched the microphone.
Would you like a new question?
Yeah, you know what? Let me take that question since, you know, I tout my degree in finance and so on.
Okay.
One thing that hasn't been talked about is other alternatives that the mayor could look at in terms of finding costs other than maybe cutting some of his appointees. There's a lot of areas in the city of Detroit where we can find money that can easily be taken and put back in the budget. First, the city still leases property for some of its departments. Even the police department rents some property still, to a tune of $30,000, $40,000 a month. You take all that property, the city owns property. Why are we leasing property from other entities and paying them $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month in rent? That makes no sense to me. Second, Whenever someone files a lawsuit against the city of Detroit and the city of Detroit wins, we never go after the person who filed the lawsuit for the court costs or the attorney fees. I mean, that's an open door to filing any type of lawsuit you want. Some, of course, are well-intentioned, Gary Brown, of course, but other ones are not. And Detroit is not a bank. We need to go after the court costs. That would decrease the amount of court cases that are filed against the city of Detroit, and that's a lot of money that can be saved per year. Thirdly, the city of Detroit, I don't want to give them all away, but thirdly, the city of Detroit self-insures every vehicle, meaning our emergency vehicles and non-emergency vehicles, our buses, the cars used by the people at the ticket meters, and at the parking meters, and so on. Let's self-insure them to a certain point, and then let an insurance company take the rest of the risk. Why should Detroit take on the entire risk for every vehicle that we have here? The emergency vehicles, fine. Let's keep that. There are emergency vehicles. But we do not have to insure the entire vehicle. We insure it to a certain point, and then after that level, have a private insurance company actually take that. So those are 3 items I think we can save costs without cutting people's jobs. Oh, I get another question. All right. All right.
You do.
All right.
All right. We are moving on to the personal section of our questions. There was a lot of questions that came in.
I was with my wife. That was my wife I was with.
Okay, just so long as that. So the question is, what does integrity mean to you? And give us an example of being a person of integrity.
Okay. One of the primary responsibilities of City Council is to say yay or nay to different contracts with vendors that come before the council. I'm a trustee in my church. I've been a trustee for 18 years. I go to Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church. One of the responsibilities I had, for some of you who do know Tabernacle, we built a $25 million facility on the location of the old Northwestern High School on Grand River and Grand Boulevard. One of the vendors that put in a bid to do the actual contracting work is a family member of mine. A cousin of mine owns a construction company called JOA Construction. And I was chairman of the committee to choose the vendors, meaning the architect, the construction company, as well as the construction manager for the job. The very first thing I did once I found out that they were putting in a bid is I recused myself from the entire process for overseeing who actually got the contract for construction of the building. I had no comments when it came to them reading the different bids from different vendors. I did not try to talk to anyone else on my committee. What I did was let them know that this is a family member and I am not going to be a part of any of these meetings, and that's the same type of responsibility I would take on council. Being an overseer of the contracts, I would not be a part of any type of contract where I actually knew or had a relationship personally with any of the vendors, meaning the pay-to-play that Mr. Bennett brought out would not be a part of my office if I'm on council. It hasn't been a part of my life thus far. I'm running for city council. I have 2 businesses, but none of my businesses have ever done work for the city of Detroit at all. So in terms of integrity, I think that's a specific instance that I brought up where some of the things that council does is actually some of the things I've done in my life also.
Thank you.
Someone said the definition of integrity is what you do when nobody's looking. I've been with the police department for 13 years. Never on any occasion have I been caught in discretion or any situation that was illegal or unethical. My record is clean. I've never been legally written up. I've never had a situation where I was in trouble. However, I've been fired. I got fired in 2003 only because I was standing up for what was right, what was justice, and what was fair. I've done it before. I have no problem with doing it again. It was the right thing to do. I wasn't doing it because I had an agenda. I did it because it was the right thing to do. And I've been standing up for the city of Detroit for 13 years as an officer. I put my life on the line. I put my job on the line. And I have no problem doing it again.
On this campaign trail, I came in a bit naive. I did not realize some of the things that I've learned. I think that we need, first of all, doing the right thing all the time, even when no one's watching. I think that we need to, city council candidates shouldn't even be allowed to take any donations from any persons doing business with the city. Candidates are running.